Have you ever wondered what makes Egypt so captivating? It's not just the pyramids and pharaohs. For thousands of years, Egypt has been a vibrant crossroads where three of the world's great religions met and mingled: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This isn't just a story of ancient monuments. It's a living history of faith, culture, and coexistence that shaped the world we know today. Join me as we journey through time to uncover the incredible religious tapestry of Egypt. Our story begins with the oldest of these faiths in Egypt: Judaism. The connection between the Jewish people and the land of the Nile is woven deep into the fabric of the Hebrew Bible. Think about it, the epic tales that many of us grew up with are set right here. It begins with Joseph, sold into slavery by his brothers, who rises through incredible hardship to become one of the most powerful men in Egypt, second only to the pharaoh himself. His wisdom saved the entire kingdom from famine, turning Egypt into a sanctuary for his family. For a time, Egypt was a place of refuge and prosperity. But the story takes a dramatic turn. Generations later, the memory of Joseph faded, and the Israelites found themselves enslaved, their lives filled with bitter labor under a new pharaoh who feared their numbers. This period of suffering sets the stage for one of the most powerful narratives of liberation in human history: the Exodus. Led by Moses, who was famously found in a basket on the Nile and raised in the pharaoh's own court, the Israelites cried out for freedom. The story of the 10 plagues, the parting of the Red Sea, and the journey to the Promised Land is a cornerstone of Jewish identity, with Egypt playing the role of the land of bondage from which they were delivered. This duality, Egypt as both a place of refuge and a land of oppression, creates a complex and powerful memory in Jewish tradition. But the Jewish presence in Egypt didn't end with the Exodus. Far from it. Fast forward several centuries, after the destruction of the first temple in Jerusalem, many Jews sought refuge in Egypt once again. During the Ptolemaic period after Alexander the Great's conquest, a massive and influential Jewish community flourished, especially in the newly founded city of Alexandria. This wasn't a small, isolated group. It was a thriving center of Jewish life, learning, and culture that was deeply integrated into the Hellenistic world. Alexandrian Jews spoke Greek, engaged with Greek philosophy, and even translated their sacred scriptures into Greek. This translation, known as the Septuagint, was a monumental achievement. It made the Hebrew Bible accessible to a much wider audience and would later become the Old Testament for early Christians. The Jewish community in Cairo, particularly in the medieval period, was also incredibly vibrant. One of its most famous residents was the brilliant scholar and physician Maimonides. Fleeing persecution in Spain, he settled in Fustat, Old Cairo, where he became the personal physician to the Sultan and a leader of the Jewish community. His philosophical works, like The Guide for the Perplexed, and his codification of Jewish law, the Mishnah Torah, are still studied and revered today. Synagogues like the Ben Ezra Synagogue in Old Cairo stand as testaments to this long and storied history, a place where priceless documents known as the Cairo Geniza were discovered, giving us an unparalleled window into centuries of daily life. As the influence of the Roman Empire grew, a new faith began to ripple across the Mediterranean, and it found fertile ground in Egypt. This was Christianity. According to tradition, Christianity arrived in Egypt around the year 42 AD, brought by none other than Saint Mark the Evangelist, one of the original apostles and the author of the Gospel of Mark. He founded the Church of Alexandria, and the city quickly became one of the most important centers of Christian thought in the entire Roman world. Think of it as a theological powerhouse, producing some of the most brilliant minds of the early church. Scholars like Clement and Origen led the catechetical school of Alexandria, a famous center for religious learning that blended Christian doctrine with Greek philosophy, shaping Christian theology for centuries to come. What's truly unique about Christianity in Egypt is the development of Coptic Christianity. The word Copt actually comes from the Greek word for Egyptian. When a major theological dispute split the church in 451 AD at the Council of Chalcedon, the majority of Egyptian Christians held fast to their own beliefs about the nature of Christ, forming what we now know as the Coptic Orthodox Church. This wasn't just a theological break. It was a profound assertion of a distinct Egyptian Christian identity, with its own pope, its own beautiful liturgy in the Coptic language, and its own unique traditions. This church has survived and thrived for nearly 2,000 years, a testament to its incredible resilience. Perhaps Egypt's most enduring gift to Christianity is the concept of monasticism. In the late 3rd and early 4th centuries, the deserts of Egypt became home to a radical new spiritual movement. Christians like Saint Anthony the Great felt to leave the bustling cities and worldly temptations behind to seek a deeper connection with God in the solitude of the wilderness. He wasn't the first hermit, but his story inspired countless others. These desert fathers and mothers, as they came to be known, pioneered a life of prayer, contemplation, and asceticism. Later, Saint Pacomius organized these solitary hermits into the first formal Christian monasteries, creating communities with shared rules, work, and worship. This model of communal monasticism spread from the Egyptian desert throughout the Christian world, from Europe to the Middle East, shaping the course of Christianity forever. The ancient monasteries of St. Anthony and St. Paul, still active today, stand as breathtaking reminders of this spiritual revolution born in the Egyptian sands. Then, in the 7th century, a new force emerged from the Arabian Peninsula that would once again transform Egypt: Islam. In 641 AD, the Arab general Amr ibn al-As conquered Egypt, bringing the religion of Islam with him. This event marked a pivotal turning point in the nation's history. The transition wasn't instantaneous. It was a gradual process of cultural and religious change that unfolded over centuries. The new rulers established a new capital, Fustat, which would later grow into the magnificent city of Cairo. Islam introduced not just a new faith, but also the Arabic language, which gradually replaced Coptic and Greek as the language of daily life and administration. Under Islamic rule, Cairo blossomed into one of the world's great cities. It became a beacon of learning, art, and commerce, earning the nickname the City of 1,000 Minarets. The founding of the Al-Azhar Mosque in 970 AD was a landmark moment. Soon after, it became a university, and for over 1,000 years Al-Azhar has been one of the most important and influential centers of Islamic learning on the planet. Scholars and students from across the Muslim world flocked to Cairo to study theology, law, and the sciences. This intellectual vibrancy helped cement Egypt as position as a cultural and political heartland of the Islamic world, especially after the fall of Baghdad to the Mongols in the 13th century. The beauty of Egypt's Islamic heritage is that it didn't simply replace what came before. Instead, it blended with Egypt's ancient traditions to create something uniquely Egyptian. Islamic art and architecture in Egypt incorporated local styles and motifs. Religious festivals and daily customs often show a fusion of Pharaonic, Coptic, and Islamic influences that you won't find anywhere else. This ability to absorb and synthesize different cultures is a hallmark of Egyptian history. From the Mamluks to the Ottomans, each successive Islamic dynasty left its own magnificent mark on the landscape and culture, but the underlying Egyptian spirit always shone through. What's truly remarkable when you look at this long history is the story of coexistence. For over a millennium, Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived together in the bustling cities of Cairo and Alexandria. They weren't living in separate, isolated worlds. They were neighbors. They worked in the same markets, spoke the same language, and shared in the daily rhythms of life. Of course, the relationship wasn't always perfect. There were periods of tension and discrimination under different rulers. But the overarching story is one of shared existence and mutual influence. Jewish scholars wrote in Arabic, Christian artisans worked on mosques, and Islamic rulers often employed Jewish and Christian advisors and physicians. This shared social fabric is what makes Egypt's history so rich. It was a place where ideas were exchanged as freely as goods. The philosophical traditions of Greece, the spiritual innovations of the Coptic Church, and the legal and scientific advancements of the Islamic Golden Age all converged here. This constant interplay of cultures and faiths created an environment of incredible intellectual and artistic creativity. It's a powerful reminder that diversity isn't a weakness, but a source of profound strength and richness. Egypt stands as a historical testament to the fact that people of different faiths can build a common society, sharing a single homeland and a collective destiny. So the next time you think of Egypt, look beyond the golden masks and towering pyramids. See the ancient synagogues, the desert monasteries, and the 1,000 minarets of Cairo. These aren't just monuments to three separate religions. They are monuments to a shared human story. A story of faith, resilience, and coexistence lived out over millennia in the land of the Nile. It's a legacy that continues to echo today, making Egypt one of history's truly great crossroads of faith. Thanks for joining me on this journey through Egypt's incredible religious history. If you found this as fascinating as I do, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories that explore the rich tapestry of our world. See you next time.